Has Bitcoin bottomed, or does it have farther to fall? Let's jump into the charts, and I have 10 reasons why Bitcoin may have bottomed. First reason, look at the chart here. We have our 200 weekly moving average. And as you can see, it has bounced several times here, off of this 200 weekly moving average. We did have a little bit of resistance just recently last month in getting back above it, but we've closed 3 weeks above it. So this is great support right now. As you can see, there's also been some fairly predictable huge upswings and then downturns in the market since Bitcoin's been around. In 2014, you see that it had about 87% correction. In 2018, we had another 84% correction. So we were seeing some diminishing both returns and then diminishing drawdowns in Bitcoin. We just had a very mild, if you will, run up in 2021. And then this, we would expect drawdown to be something closer to 75 to 80%. And we have already gotten about 73% drawdown in this case. So pretty close. Maybe we could see a little bit more of a pullback to about 20,000. We're about 23.9 right now. Next, the relative strength index. The relative strength index shows us the momentum of a stock, Bitcoin, etc. As you can see down at the bottom, it goes in swings between when it's overbought up above this top dotted line and then oversold when it's down below that line. And as we can see throughout the history, when it's gotten closer, touched that bottom line, that's indicated that a bottom is close. It's being oversold. Currently, we're just now getting out of that oversold situation, also showing that it could be a bottom. Next is the fear and greed index. The fear and greed index does a very good job of kind of codifying, of objectifying that fear and the greed euphoria that people are experiencing. It's based on the momentum, it's based on the market, it's based on social media, if you will, the Twitter feeds, and it's also based on survey data. When it gets into the red here, you can see that it's pretty fearful, and that usually denotes a bottom when it gets around 10. And then when it gets green, that's euphoria. People are just hopping over themselves trying to get into that market. Usually that's a pretty good top signal, but obviously it can stay pretty euphoric for quite a while. This is pretty red. This is probably a bottom or close to it. Next is the HODL waves. The HODL waves are very interesting because they're showing the aging of the different coins. If you look across the top, you're going to see how people or entities have held these coins for various amounts of time. And usually you can see from the younger coins, 1 month all the way up to years, to 10 years, there's a up and to the right arc, and that's called the wave of these HODLs. So you can see that it follows the line up and to the right, up and to the right, up and to the right, if you trace the troughs here, up and to the right. So between this 3 to 6 month waves, you can see that that's about when the bottom was in for these different time frames. So the most recent one, between the 3 and 6 months, you're looking at about right there between that HODL wave for those, and that about marks where we are right now. Obviously it's not very accurate to the exact point, but that's a pretty good metric for a bottom. Next we have the MVRZ score, and this is a very interesting metric. So this metric is showing us the market cap minus the realized cap, that when those tokens have moved, divided by the standard deviation here. So what we can see is in the run-ups we see some very large peaks in the MVRZ score, and then down in the troughs in this green region here, those are usually pretty dang accurate for when the bottoms are in. And as you can see, we are just now emerging from that green trough. That's a pretty good bottom sign. Next we have the pi cycle bottom indicator. This is the 471 moving average divided by the 150 moving average. If you take that ratio, it's 3.14. It's a silly metric, however, it's uncanny for its accuracy on calling both the tops and bottoms. And as we can see, it's called various tops in the past, and it's called various bottoms fairly well in the past. It did just show a bottom, and that was fairly close to where we actually did have that wick down. Another good bottom signal. Next, you have the price drawdowns from all-time highs, and as you can see, up near the actual all-time highs when they're peaking here, and this is averaged. I think it's a 7-day average. So it doesn't actually get to zero here because of that average. And then it goes down when it's getting very close to the bottom for about an 85% pull down and 82% pull down, etc. So if you're going to draw a line here on this, an increasing line where the all-time high drawdowns are not getting as significant, they're being muted as the volatility of Bitcoin is dampened over time. And if you draw a line between these 2 points right here, that looks like a pretty good bottom that we're currently at. Next, let's look at the supply last active over a year. And as you can see, there's various points where it comes up and then it starts to go down when people start to sell again. And usually that denotes a little bit of the bottom. And this is not as clean as an indicator of some of the other ones we've shown. But once it has a little bit of a plateau, that's generally when you're going to be seeing some sort of a bottom. And then when it has sell-offs, you're going to be seeing some sort of rally as people that are in profits sell into that. So what we have several times is where it comes up and then plateaus, and that's generally a little bit after the bottom. So we just recently had that come up, plateau, and come down a little bit. So that could coincide with our bottom here. And then finally, I think another indicator that we can use, and it's not on the charts, this is a bonus one for you, is that the actual inflation, the CPI numbers, have just maintained steady. So that is the first print that we've had month over month, which is a 0% increase in CPI, meaning that inflation is no longer going up. That could lead to less sell pressure being on all assets and commodities such as Bitcoin. There it is. There's the 10 reasons that Bitcoin probably has bottomed. We are likely to see another drawdown sometime in the very near future, call it September, where it tests around where those lows are. Could be a little bit above, could be a little bit below, but Bitcoin, I believe, has bottomed with these 10 indicators. So I'm going to be dollar cost averaging. I don't know what you're going to do with your money, but that's what I'm going to do with mine. Bitcoin is an asset that is self-sovereign money that will continue to appreciate into the future. Hope you're on board. Name's Matt Voke. Hit the like and subscribe if you want to see more of these. See ya.